the private Monticello Motor Club rarely opens its gates for anyone but its members. In August, it did just that, for the largest event in its history. As celebrities watched on, over 80 competition cars took to the exclusive track for rounds 11 and 12 of the North American Road Racing Association's USGT Championship and Whelen US TimeTrial Championship, supported by the SRT Viper Cup and the Radical Challenge. And welcoming us, none other than World Sports Car Champion, Sebring winner, and F1 driver Brian Redman.
One of the most beautiful, scenic and exciting racetracks in North America. So it's a great circuit, they've done a wonderful job, and as they continue with the progress that's already been started, I think we're going to see one of the finest tracks in the world.
You come in and it deserves the name. It's a country club track. I mean, the hedges are manicured behind the Armco, giant gates in the front. It looks like you're pulling up to some sort of mansion.
It's beautiful. The track's fun, the facilities are nice, and we're really enjoying it.
Especially enjoying the circuit, the USGT drivers, separated by just tenths in qualifying. Loudon fastest in GT2. Booth edging out Winkler. Stokey ahead of Lassier in GT1. And Stout getting squeezed out by pole sitter George Whelen. The field looking spectacular coming to the flag. The engine in Booth's out of position Ferrari howling as they took the green. Side by side into turn 1, Lassier not giving an inch to Stokey. Ferguson nearly trading paint with Trevor Nelson, but everyone through the first turns cleanly. Stokey relinquishing to Lassier, while Stout tentative around 3 and Hartley pounced.
Just kind of came in a little too fast in 3 and clipped him right on the corner, so bonehead move on my part.
We wanted to get through turn 1 and 2. We actually talked about it and said let's not do anything stupid, and the only mistake we didn't talk about turn 3 and 4.
Rejoining the track, Stout began working back through the field, getting Greenman first in turn 8. Next up, Kathy, who described what it's like to see her husband going off.
Frustrated a little bit for Jim. That's kind of a spouse thing. And you also know he's coming back on if he can as fast as possible, so I prepared for that.
Meanwhile, Stokey had a look at Lassier. Then starting lap 2, the white flag signalling a slow-moving vehicle, catching a number of drivers off guard. Stokey past Lassier and Booth. A train of Vipers then formed behind the Ferrari. Lassier, Winkler, Todd Nelson, Loudon, Trevor Nelson, Ferguson and Moore. Tag teaming, Moore past Ferguson, while Trevor Nelson got Loudon. Dispatching Decker, Stout had caught the pack by the end of the lap, as Lassier got all over the back of Booth's Ferrari, who closed the door. Proving you can pass anywhere at Monticello, Stout got Ferguson and Moore shortly after, while a misgear allowed second place Stokey to close on Whelen. Stout's pass on Loudon allowing Moore to get a run, and Ferguson too. Relentless, Stout continued, past Trevor Nelson, and a moment on the exit. The next lap, it was his father's turn, before Stout set his sights on Winkler, who cracked under pressure, albeit with a perfect strike. Stout collecting a cone, but he was up to 5th. Lassier, his next victim, in the carousel. Stout now approaching his arch-rival, Booth.
I wasn't looking for him, I was looking for the front.
But into the chicane, it would have been hard for Stout to see anything else.
So I saw him on the big long straight in the back. We went into the uphill turn, and he was right on my bumper. But then going through the over the switchback at the top, I pulled away from him there.
With fluid spraying everywhere, Stout called it a day.
And then I lost power steering. It just reached a point I couldn't keep running it.
Up front, Whelen controlled the race, appearing to tease Stokey, until disaster.
In the last lap, I got an engine temperature gauge. I wasn't sure if the car was overheating or not, so I just kind of backed off a little bit, and he got right under me, and was able to take position, and then I was trying to catch him up the back hill, and I just spun it, just got into the throttle too much, so just a mistake.
Leaving Stokey to take the win from Whelen and Booth.
Unfortunate that he had problems. I hate to you hate to win like that, but to get your first overall win is just unbelievable.
Stokey, the GT1 class winner, in front of Lassier, 4th overall, and more. Todd Nelson, impressive, 3rd in GTU. 2nd in class, Booth, gaining Ferrari's first ever USGTC podium. And even though he wasn't first past the post, Whelen, the winner in GT Unlimited. With that, well, what would you call it, George?
Oops.
Greenman, the GT3 winner. Loudon, the victor in GT2 from Kathy Stout, who wouldn't quite give me an answer to whether she enjoys finishing in front of her husband.
I want to stay married, Tom. I want to stay out of that. I plead the fifth.
With one race done, we caught up with President and CEO Ari Straus to tell us more about this amazing facility.
Monticello Motor Club is a private country club for car enthusiasts. Think of a high-end golf club, but replace the links with 4.1 miles of racetrack and you have Monticello Motor Club. Usually everyday members have an average between 4 and 5 hours of track time. So it's an incredible amount of track time, incredible amount of track access. This is our largest race weekend of the year. Excited to have NARRA here. Watching Vipers, the USGTC championships out there, some of the time trials.
The exclusivity of Monticello attracting a full field of the Whelen US Time Trial Championship and some of the fastest time attack car and driver combinations in the country. Straight to the top, Starter. His first laps giving him Session 1's outright fastest lap and his verdict on the circuit.
It's highly technical, a lot of turns in it, but a lot of fun.
Not so much for Schechter though, looping it in the hairpin, the culprit a broken centre diff. Greenberg, Grabau's closest competition, after MacIver struck issues instantly.
We changed the turbo in the car. We're just running on wastegate pressure right now. We're running out there with 200 horsepower, so we're at a severe disadvantage, but we soldiered through it, went out there like a man and took our beating.
And a beating it was. Even with his own gremlin, Grabau resetting the benchmark big time in Session 2, and he had some advice for the Dodge drivers.
Turn your cars into all-wheel drive for this track. I mean, it seems like here it's not so much the horsepower. I'm pretty much an equal horsepower-wise, but it seems like I'm getting through the tight stuff quite a bit quicker than the Vipers. We can kind of square up the turn, accelerate out hard, hug the inside where those guys tend to drift out. It's a grip track. You got to run where there's grip.
Almost every driver in the TTU and TT1 classes quicker. Dixon leapfrogging Katz. But Katz came back in the third session to claim second behind Starter, who along with Unlimited class winner Grabau, was the only driver to get into the 20s. The other standouts of the day were TT3 and TT2 pace setters Lesnak and Mandel. After pushing hard into turn 1, Mandel was in a class of his own, near 10 seconds clear of his rivals after the second session, with the 7th fastest outright time of the day. Cohen's caddy was next, with Depp's Evolution third fastest. But Marinelli made his move, as did Coco's Yellow, to be second and third fastest at the end of Session 3, while Forenbauer had bumped Depp back to 6th. And when the final session was abandoned due to an oil spill, it was total disaster for Depp.
I did the first 3 sessions on street tires, get a feel of the track, and then I put my Hoosiers on the last session and the session was cancelled.
Levitt also left in the lurch, having just been pipped by Stanisu for second in TT3. In a different league, Lesnak finished with a 31.6. While a technical infringement eliminated Mandel, handing Marinelli the TT2 win from Coco's Yellow and Cohen.
I had a rough start to the day. We had some tire pressure sensor issues. I got those straightened out. We got some clean laps in, and I was able to cut my time right down and take me into the first place position.
The early end of the day giving us an opportunity to catch up with Kevin Ferguson.
Kevin, there's a long history of racing cars with iconic paint jobs. The Martini cars, the Gulf racing cars. Tell us a little bit about yours.
Well, my car is just celebrating the Constitution. The Constitution is the reason why we have freedom and prosperity in this country, and I think a lot of people have forgotten what it is. A lot of times people say it's associated with the Tea Party. It has nothing to do with that. It's about the Constitution. It's made to look like like it's written on old parchment. The quotes written on it are from the Founding Fathers as if they wrote it on the car with a Sharpie. And it's just to remind people that, hey, we have a great country here, and we need to remember what made it great.
When did you first come up with the idea?
A year and a half, 2 years ago, I'd actually wrecked at Hallett, and I pretty much had to replace most of the body panels on the car, and a lot of other work, and I said, well, I got to do a new wrap. And so I was like, well, what can I do? And I handpicked all of the quotes. There's 14 quotes on the car, and they're all from, you know, Thomas Jefferson and things like that. I think one of the quotes is on the it's a very short quote, and it's kind of, you know, most people won't think much about it, but it's where Nathan Hale said that I regret that I have but one life to give for my country. Well, he was being hung at that time. The British had him, you know, basically said, what are your last words before we hang you? And that's what he said. I mean, that's amazing to have somebody like that in this country that's a founding father that's willing to die and wishes they could die twice to make this country great.
Well, one thing that isn't the Constitution, and it's on your car, is Craftlogic Software. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Craftlogic started in 2003. I've been a software developer for over 25 years, and one of the things I saw during all that time was a lot of projects fail. So I said, well, what I need to do is help companies find better talent. Rather than trying to make an assembly line out of software development, you need to be looking for good, qualified people that can do the job. And then process, although you still need process becomes less important when you have the right people involved. We do our own custom software for clients. We do co-sourcing and outsourcing with clients where we actually build the team. So when you build a team, whether it's for a race car team or for a software development team, you need to have the right people in the right position and have the right knowledge or the right talent and the right passion to do a good job. We thoroughly interview all of our candidates. About 75% of the people we submit are hired the very first person, and if not, it's usually the second person. We don't want to waste our clients' time. Staffing's a big part of our business, but custom software development is too.
And Kevin, how did you get involved with the world of motorsport?
Just flipping through the channels, and I don't even care about auto racing at this point. And all of a sudden, as I'm flipping through there on Speed Channel, I see World Challenge. I think this is 2005. And I saw Viper. A Viper? I didn't know they raced those things, you know? And so I got to watch it and I said, wow, this is pretty interesting. Well, then all of a sudden, you know, they ended the race, and one of the guys was getting out of the car. He came in second, I think. And he was getting out of the car. It was Bob Woodhouse. I mean, he's, you know, a much older guy than I was. So I paused the TV. I run in and get Susan. I say, look at this guy. He's old, he's bald. You're getting out of this car. I can do this, you know? And so she looked at that and says, shook her head. I ordered the car the next day. I think it's great. Anybody who wants to come out here and drive, it's a wonderful environment. You can learn, you can time trial race, get better and better at what you do, and enjoy it and enjoy the people, because that's really what it's all about.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter King.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Sunday morning brought with it fresh opportunities for the Whelen USTTC field, but it got us thinking, how does a time trialer spend a typical Saturday night?
Well, we went back to the hotel, took a shower, went out for dinner, came back and sat there for 3 hours going through the videos and the data. That's how we prepare.
So after studying up, was Depp planning an evolution revolution?
I think we might see a couple today on the podium.
Grab out another promising big thing. But this was probably not what he had in mind.
Today, the drive-by-wire throttle had an issue where it was shutting the throttle on and off, and I lost the coolest session of the day.
A worry, given Ferguson had come out on fire, fastest in TTU, making up for missing Saturday. Greenberg second in class, but the continued cool conditions for the second run kept the Vipers vulnerable.
We wanted to get a good time, first lap, normal power. We didn't want to risk blowing a coupler or a hose. Then as I came around for the second lap, boom, hit the boost controller up, and we ran out of fuel.
They ran out of gas, I swear.
Which was a far cry from Saturday's issues. Regardless, Grabau had done it. Quickest with a new Whelen USTTC lap record of 2:24.9. TT1 was just as exciting. Less than a second covering the top three in the morning. Starter, lucky to be fastest.
Wound up hitting a brake caliper from a car, ripped the bottom of the car all up,
Dixon looked menacing, only 7 tenths off, and Katz closed during session 2. So Starter responded, knocking another couple of tenths off to take the win with a new TT1 lap record. His win over Dixon and Katz giving him a commanding lead in the championship.
With this weekend, it puts us in good position for the Glen. We're really looking forward to it. I mean, we've had a great year with NARRA. Absolutely love it. Couldn't ask for better people to race with. It's just a really good time.
Another having the time of his life was TT3's Ben Lasnak. Already 4 seconds up after session 1, he pushed even harder, eclipsed his Saturday best and set a new class lap record. His 30.2, a staggering 6 seconds faster than Rudolph's GTR and the Porsche of Stanisu. Corvette was also king in TT2, thanks to Lesnak's friend Mandel, another punching well above his weight.
The only cars in front of us are pure race cars, and we're holding it down with street cars. Ben drove here from Brooklyn 2 hours in his Corvette. My car's a street car, air conditioned, radio amplifier.
It was heartache though for Saturday's winner Marinelli, down the order with a smoking engine.
You know, I really felt like I would have taken a couple seconds off my time today. It's so hard being on the sidelines. I don't want to go home early, but, you know, we're going to show up for Watkins Glen and hopefully be competitive again.
And proving his prediction right, Depp was second fastest, with Cantor close behind, and another Evo, Forenbauer, within striking distance. Finding another second in session 2, Mandel was well clear of the competition, or so he thought. Behind him, Forenbauer was now only 2 tenths from eclipsing Cantor, and in the final session he did. But the real shock was Coco Ziello, rocketing up the charts to relegate Depp to 3rd and be just 3 tenths behind Mandel.
I decided to turn off the active handling traction control, eliminate the computer out of the equation, and I just left it up to me to drive the car, and I took 6.5 seconds off. So that's the last time I'll ever use the computer.
With the day under their belts, the USGT drivers pushed even harder. Sunday qualifying, even closer. Trevor Nelson in front of his dad. The top 3 within 3 tenths. Stokey's pace again outstanding. And just 2 100s separating Whelen and Stout, who nearly cracked into the teens. With the field rolling out behind the safety car, perhaps it's time to meet the team responsible for bringing the field to the green.
My name is John Brobst. I'm half of the pace car team for NARRA in the USGT and SRT Viper Cup, along with my partner, co-driver Doris Rose. The pace car serves primarily a safety function in the formation of the setup of the race, and during the race, if there's an emergency, we'll come out and calm things down and bring the cars back around.
Since there's 2 of us, we have to fight over who's going to drive. But just to make it nice, we take turns.
But the right seat person is the communicator, kind of like the co-pilot. We both have equal race credentials to drive for the pace car. When you're in the pace car at speed, you can't miss a word. You don't have time to say, what did he say? So you have to have a communicator that can be 100% focused on comm, and the driver can be 100% focused on the driving. We're proud of our pace car reputation out there. NARRA racing has 2 types of starts, and the USGT is the first type, where there's a rolling start, where the pace car will help assemble with the cars in pre-grid, and then roll off of pre-grid right out onto the racetrack behind the splitter. The cars will go 2 by 2, and we set a uniform pace so no one can get an unfair advantage in the start. We'll bring them around for probably just 1 lap, usually 1 lap, in conjunction with Chief Steward Terry Earwood. He'll let us know if we're a go, and the pace car will peel off and release him to the starter for a picture-perfect 2 by 2 by 2 start. Once the race team gets the green flag, then our job is a bit of a paradox. We hope they won't need us, and we have green flag racing for a full 30 or 45 minutes. And if it's a perfect race and there's no yellow flag incidents, the pace car might spend the whole race with the best seat in the house for spectating at the end of the pit lane. But if there happens to be an incident that needs a response, Chief Steward Terry Earwood will stand up the pace car. We go full lights on and hammer down and get out there in front of the leaders. So it's nice to have a car that's fast enough to do that and is right at home on the racetrack like the Challenger SRT. I also own Parts Rack Incorporated, which is a Dodge parts and accessory store. Together with Doris, we have Viper customers all over the country, and coming out and pacing the NARRA events gets us a chance to interact with and for the first time be face-to-face with our customers that normally we only get to react with over the phone. So NARRA puts us right in their pits and supporting their race activities. We bring a little memento, a souvenir from NARRA, and make sure that every track worker that's out there watching our backs gets a little souvenir from SRT Viper Cup in NARRA. One of the interesting things for me is being a race fan many years. You can't imagine looking in your rearview mirror and going, that's Tommy Kendall behind me, 5 inches behind me, driving at speed in earnest. I don't view motorsports on television the same way, because now when we're watching a NASCAR race, for example, we've driven that track. We know what those turns are. We know what the G-forces are in those turns, and so being exposed to the many tracks that NARRA USGT Championship brings us to, you never view the tracks the same once you have the opportunity to drive on them. And there's some bucket list tracks that the NARRA drivers get to drive.
It's a great opportunity to be able to drive the SRT Challenger pace car for NARRA. You almost don't want to talk about it because you don't want everybody else wanting your job.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
A sight no doubt making John and Doris proud. A near-perfect formation as they took the green. Booth having a look on the outside, almost making it 3 wide. Ferguson then shut the door before finding himself alongside Lassier, and then Winkler out of turn 2.
Heck of a start. They were side by side through the first few turns.
Stout edging away, no problems with turns 3 and 4. Everyone through this time, but trouble again for Hartley on cold tyres, running wide, allowing Lassier to get by. Ferguson also overstepping the limits into the hairpin for the first time. Winkler getting a run, the pair nearly touching. Winkler then making it stick to start lap 2. Stout also under pressure, Whelen diving into the hairpin, brake smoke, and not a hair between them. Stout not having any of it. Lap 3 and Whelen tried again, this time into the chicane, taking the lead.
Jim was giving me quite a challenge in the first few laps, and then when I got out and got some clean track, just kind of got into a kind of reasonable groove and just tried to keep consistent.
His performance surprising Stout.
I don't know what he put in that tank, but he's kind of rude with me on the race. He just drove away, and for a while it was a spectator sport, and then when I couldn't see him, it was kind of ugly.
Meanwhile, heartache for Saturday's winner, Stokey's gearbox giving way, and Loudon under pressure from Moore, who gets a run. The hairpin causing more trouble the next lap, opening the door to Todd and Trevor Nelson. It wouldn't be Todd's day though, out of contention. While Frank Danielle pushed Greenman hard for the lead in GT3. And Hartley redeeming himself, passing Lassier out of the carousel. But he nearly runs wide again. Also battling hard, Ferguson and the Ferrari.
I had a lot of fun with Jim and his Ferrari. We traded positions and then almost got him back on the back straight where he went off all 4. And
the commotion allowing Moore to catch up. The battle for third also intense. Another small mistake coming out of turn 16. And while Hartley wasn't cracking, the same couldn't be said for his car. Out of the chicane, Lassier with another run on Hartley, but Hartley holding on. Winkler right there. Lassier closing in again on the final lap. The pair approaching traffic. Past the Porsche and the Corvette, Winkler stuck. Neither Lassier or Hartley giving an inch. Both of them in the grass.
Boy, we were going side by side through the S's, and he was stronger in places, and I don't think my front end was totally from the accident yesterday 100%, so he had a little stronger than me, but boy, we had a great fun. It was awesome.
Whelen taking the win, Stout second, and Hartley home third. The GTU podium also the top 3 overall. Lassier's fourth, giving him the win in GT1 from David Moore and Stokey. Loudon the victor again over Kathy Stout in GT2. Greenman holding on for the win in GT3. Monticello member Frank Danielle particularly impressive. This, his only 9th ever week in a racing car, and he was loving the US GT Championship.
I think it's fabulous. This is really one of the best weekends up here for me personally. I really enjoyed having all the different classes. Being out there with the Vipers was fun. Having those big beasts come up from behind you, a little extra alert out there. It was great. I hope we do it some more. I hope we do it again.
And again we will, next time from Texas World Speedway.